Hello, and thanks for joining me for part 4 of fish skin leather making. I've got a few things to show you here. I stayed up really late last night scraping salmon skins. I did about 12 of them yesterday, and I found that it was way easier when the skins were still partially frozen. So I took them out of the freezer, put them in a bowl of cold water, and just peeled them off of the lump that they had become, and rolled them out flat, and scraping them with when they're still frozen, it actually makes all the layers come off so much easier. So if you're trying this, that is a fish skin leather hack, I guess, that I haven't really discovered until now. I heard and I kept forgetting. So I tried it and it works. So last time we left off with putting some skins in bark tan. So I just put some in this morning, some spring salmon skins. So I'm gonna turn the camera down and show you. So these ones have just been put in today. So these are big spring salmon skins. And this one, I took off all the scales. I removed, well, most of them anyways. It's hard to get them all off. So they're gonna keep coming off throughout the tanning process and throughout the softening process. Sometimes I get a little obsessive and start picking away at them, and that can take up a lot of time. Yeah, it's a little bit, it can preoccupy me. See, there I go. Anyways, the other one, I did not take the scales off because they seem to just be in there and didn't really want to come out with a whole lot of effort, and I don't want to ruin the skins, the beautiful pattern on the skin, so I'm just going to see what happens. I don't usually leave the scales on, and you can kind of see the difference in the way that they hang. The one with the scales off is quite a bit more, I don't know, limp, I guess. And I'm thinking that that also opens up the fibers and the connective tissues and allows the tannins to penetrate better. So that's my theory. I haven't really been able to find much that explains some of the, I don't know, some of the nuances of tanning, and so that's kind of how it makes sense to me. So they haven't really taken up any tannin yet, or very little. I only put these in maybe about a half an hour ago, actually. But in contrast, I'll show you, oh, a couple more things I was going to say. So make sure that gets stirred multiple times in the first 3 hours, just so that they don't tan unevenly. And then in this one, I have a bunch of salmon skins that have actually been in for a day or two. Put them in yesterday. So this is a slightly stronger tannin solution. And let's see if you can see this. This is a spring salmon. So you can see it soaked up the bark tannins really nicely on the flesh side and on the outer scale side, but that's gonna stay in for a while longer. It's a really thick one, so that's probably gonna stay in for about a week, although this seems to be going pretty fast actually. I think the tanning solution has been a little bit stronger than I would normally start with, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it won't leave them raw on the inside. So this is a sockeye salmon skin, so it's a lot thinner than the spring, but it tans nice and evenly. The scales remove a lot easier as well. Oh, and one thing about the scales, try not to let them go all down your drain. It's kind of hard to control them. They get all over the place, but it's best to sort of scoop them up and put them in a bag and return them to the ocean or a river if you can. Yeah, not to put them down the drain because they can actually clog up your drain. So this one has been in, I think, for 2 days, and then the spring salmon has only been in for 1. But a lot of tanning for me is just done by feel and by instinct. And I find every time I do this, it's a different process, or a slightly different process, and sometimes I'm just called to do something a little bit differently, and I'm not sure why necessarily, but I think that's, you know, the salmon teaching me the tanning process, you know, how to best do it. So anyways, these ones are turning out to be really, really nice. I'm gonna still stir them at least once a day, or else you can get a film of mold on the top of your tanning solution. So this morning I actually stirred them up after leaving them overnight, and there were some parts of the skins that weren't fully tanned, so there were some white marks. I was hoping some of them would still be there, or just lighter and darker where they'd been creased and folded into the tanning solution. So I stirred them up, and already, only about a half an hour later, they've evened out. So the next thing I'm going to show you is, I think we left off also at the oiling, or the oil tanning phase for the oil tan salmon skins. So these are the spring salmon skins. Are they the spring salmon skins? These might be sockeye actually. No, these are the ones that I scraped last night, but I had shown you how to mix up the oil tanning solution. So I'm going to take them out of the bag, and then they've been in overnight, and I massaged them for about 10 or 15 minutes last night with my hands, just to make sure that the oils really got into the skins, penetrated the skins, and then I left them in a Ziploc bag overnight. I have left them in a bowl uncovered overnight, and they kind of dry up a little bit, so I'm not gonna do that. How am I gonna do this? What I want to do now is just squeeze out any excess. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's the best camera angle. I'm not watching it as I'm doing this work. So I'm squeezing out the excess tanning solution, or the oil tan. And I usually choose which ones I'm going to oil tan and which ones I'm going to bark tan by the skins and how they look. So this one has beautiful, beautiful orange coloring to it and a really even scale pattern, and I want to be able to see that when it's tanned. So I chose to oil tan this one, and when the colors aren't quite so brilliant, then I put them in the bark tan solution. But this batch of fish skins is so beautiful that most of them have gone into the oil tan solution. Okay, so now I am going to walk you over to where I'm going to put this. So bear with me here while I get the camera. I think I need a better setup. Okay, so we're going to walk to where I'm going to leave this and see if I can do this with one hand. Okay, so this is my balcony sliding door, and it's a bit of a gray day here in North Vancouver on Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh traditional lands. But it is beautiful outside. I'm hoping to get out into the forest at some point today, or I might actually take a walk down to the ocean and return the remains of the fish to the ocean. So yeah, I am just painting using a paintbrush and this really oily, wet salmon skin. I'm painting it onto the window here to dry. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip it over and put the scale side down, because if you do that, when it dries, it kind of gives it a nice sheen or shine to the scale side. It makes it look really beautiful. So ideally, this would be actually hung out on a warm, sunny day, but not a super hot sunny day. And it would be laid or draped over a clothesline to almost completely dry. Or actually, no, this is, we're not quite there yet. So you would let this completely dry. And you want to leave, once it's dry, it's going to start to peel away from the window here. And then you'll want to leave it for at least a couple of days for the egg and oil to really soak in and to work its way in when it's dry. It's kind of amazing to think that there's still work that's being done even when it's completely crisp and dry. The last one I did, I actually put in front of my electric fireplace, and I left it for a couple days, and as it was drying I softened it by hand manually, and this is what it looks like now. So it's pretty crisp, but what I'm going to be doing with it is re-oiling it. So you can see here I've got one bark tan skin that is drying right now too. So I'm going to go back to my kitchen.